This week's episode of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Diamond is Unbreakable is truly a Cinderella story, as everybody's favorite psycho bitch Yukako returns, trying to win the love of Koichi Hirose, and she's going to have some help with the form of a brand new fairy godmother, Aya Tsuji, who has the power of cosmetology. This season of JoJo seems to have some sort of obsession with ripping off layers of faces. They did it with Rohan Kishibe, and they're doing it with a brand new character in this week by the name of Aya Tsuji, who has a stand that goes by the name of Cinderella. Aya Tsuji is basically the ultimate matchmaker. She just wants to make people happy. She wants them to be beautiful and to fall in love with people. She wants to be her very own personal fairy godmother for people. And honestly, that's kind of nice when you really think about it. And again, this is another one of those characters in this season who at first comes across as being kind of evil and manipulative, and by the end of the episode, they end up being a pretty nice person, which is what's really interesting about this episode. But we have the return of Yukako in this episode, and as you know, Yukako is kind of insane, and we really get to see her go nuts in this episode, and I love seeing her interact with other people that we've never seen before, because at first I'm like, maybe she is just normal, and maybe she just acts this way around Koichi and all of his friends. No, she's just still a crazy psycho bitch, all the time. Seeing as how she's completely in love with Koichi, she ends up running into this cosmetology store, which is run by this woman who has the stand power to basically replace parts of your body, whether it be small portions or the entire thing, in order to win over the love of certain people. And at first, it actually does work out for Yukako. She gets a big old makeover, goes to see Koichi, and they seemingly both fall in love with each other. Although this is only temporary. This is when she returns to Aya, all frickin' pissed off, using her stand powers to slam her against the walls and run her all over the place with her hair abilities. That's when she gets this little lipstick that apparently if she uses every 30 minutes, it's going to make Koichi constantly fall in love with her. However, it does have a backfiring element. When she doesn't use it, she actually starts to lose parts of her face, and you can see this really creepy moment where Koichi runs into her, and he doesn't realize what's wrong with her, and he just thinks it's someone else because her eyes have been completely darkened. Although she's all pissed off, goes back to the store and demands something of a refund. However, that's not going to work. Aya gives her the ultimatum that essentially she's never going to get her old body back. She's never going to get her looks back. Although she does give her the opportunity to get her face back in this episode, which leads to the more heartwarming end of this episode right here. Essentially telling her that, look, I'm going to give you the choice of choosing amongst all of these faces, but you have to choose yours specifically, and if you choose wrong, that's going to be your face forever. The trick here is that her face apparently isn't there. The thing is, Koichi's actually been following her. He walks into the store, and Yukako decides that Koichi is going to be the one to choose her brand new face, and he sort of just randomly chooses one, although he wants the option of becoming blind, so that way he'll never have to worry about what Yukako looks like. This is something that actually gets down to the core of Aya's heart, and that's when she decides to restore her face, her good looks, and she actually ends up turning into a real fairy godmother, which is pretty awesome. So what's the rundown on this week's episode of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure? Personally, this is not the episode for me. It's one of my least favorite episodes of the series, mostly being the fact that I'm not really a big fan of the character of Yukako. She's just sort of one note, just a super pissed off chick who's obsessed with Koichi, and this is basically just more of the same. What I will say is, seeing her interact with regular, other-day people, like there's this great scene where she's all pissed off walking across the street, and she walks through a red light, and everybody's honking at her, and she's like, "Bitches! I was the one who was walking. Get out of my way." There's just something really funny about her. The fact that she's just so damn angry all the time and super tough. To the point, when she started to lose all of her good looks, she had no problem in attacking Aya, and even saying that she would go as far as to kill her. Although Aya was in complete control here with her power of her stand, Cinderella, which basically took the form of another weird humanoid pink robot looking thing, just the kind of typical stands that you've seen from the series. But the fact that it can change entire body parts or even just small portions is really interesting, and it's animated in a really cool way as well. Aya herself is an interesting character, and I can't wait to see her return. Hopefully she doesn't go the way of Antonio Trendy, who is a great character that we just don't see anymore, and in many ways, she kind of reminds me of the female version of Antonio Trendy, where again, she comes across as a villain, villain, but by the end of the episode, she ends up being your best damn friend. Despite the fact that I did not like this episode this much, I will say that it did have some fantastic imagery and some great animation, so this was still a very visually appealing episode. It had a lot of funny moments, and on top of that, a lot of intense and surprising moments as well, all of which pretty much came from Yukako. It's interesting to know, too, that she was basically the star of this episode, and she really carried this entire episode right here. So if you're a fan of her wacky, crazy, psychotic antics, you're gonna love this week's episode, especially because it's tied together with some fantastic stylistic animation and artwork, and of course Koichi, who might as well just be the default character of the series. To me, he's infinitely more interesting and fun to watch than Josuke. That's not to say that Josuke is a bad character, it's just I tend to like the Koichi episodes just a wee bit more, just a skosh more. That being said, almost every episode of Diamond is Unbreakable is pretty damn fantastic, and you're looking at another one right here. While it's not my favorite, I still really enjoyed it, so I'm going to drop a 4 out of 5 on this one. Make sure to check it out, JoJo fans, but if any of you guys did watch this week's episode, make sure to tell me what you thought about it in the comment section below. What did you think of the Cinderella powers? What sort of cosmetic changes would you make to your very own body? Would you use that power to fall in love with someone or have them fall in love with you? Were you happy to see the return of Yukako, or do you frankly just think she's creepy and unnecessary? And what do you want to see from the rest of Diamond is Unbreakable? Please tell me in the comment section below. You guys are freaking awesome. Thank you for watching this review. Make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and make sure to follow all of our stuff on social media. Thank you guys again for watching. And as always, stay dandy, baby.